Let's begin. Okay. First of all, welcome everybody. Second of all, this is going to be serious. I've been thinking about being old and realizing how much I've been losing and letting it sink in and then fighting it. When I allow it to sink in, it is very uncomfortable to be old because your body doesn't listen to you. It ran away. And above all, in a woman's case like mine, the losing of your looks, to have lost the fun of looking into a mirror and saying, oh, because I lost so much hair. And then I began to think, but I'm alive, and I live in this miracle of a world. When Kenny taught me meditation, I never used the word God in my life because it's been so misused. It's been used for dividing people. That's your God, that's my God. And each of the religions has been divided into fractions. And all that is part of who we are. Not who we are, but who we decided to be. We listen to people who tell us who we are, give us names and titles. Today, Kenny read something to me that had been written about him. And this is the Kenny I know. This is the little boy whom I've known all his life until today. And I want him to read what was written about him. Kenny, I know you're going to be embarrassed, but embarrassment doesn't work anymore. Everything they said is true. Please, Kenny, begin, because with these programs now, I want to show us the greatness of the world we live in. The greatness is not found in titles. It's not found in wealth. It's not found in accomplishments. It's in having core gifts and obeying those gifts. Kenny has always been sensitive. Now, we're allowed to use the word for men and for women and for the third sex. And if perhaps there will be 10 more sexes having a name, or 1,000, just like the trees and the flowers. There's not a tree that's an oak. Every oak has a different other name and a different source. So do humans. And I would like Kenny to begin to read right now an article about him. Please, Kenny.
Well, here's the thing. It's a really long article. I'll just tell what it is, and I can put it in Facebook. I can't really read it all, but it's an article from on a website called Mind Body Green, and it's about my kind of theoretical psycho-spiritual framework around this concept of core gifts. And it's a really beautiful article. It just came out today, and Hetty was celebrating it with me, and I'll put the link in Facebook. But I can't really read it now because it's a long article.
That's okay. Pick from it, and every time you can, put it back out on printing. Put a little marker where you stopped reading and continue that, because I could sit all night and have you read it to me.
Okay, I'll read one little piece. I'll read one little paragraph. I'll just read a paragraph.
And let us begin to speak of our greatness instead of our faults in this program.
it's a whole kind of piece, but I'll try to find something. Okay, I'll just read this one part. Why reclaiming your core gifts unlocks deeper intimacy. Think of your core gifts like your spine. In the animal kingdom, if you don't have a spine, an endoskeleton, you need an armor, an exoskeleton. An exoskeleton is great for warding off predators, but for humans who crave intimacy, that emotional armor does not help with us deepening our connections. When we're operating from our wounds and denying our core gifts, that armor is automatically enabled. When we learn to drop the armor and live from our core gifts, with that metaphorical spine, we're essentially owning who we are. It's being organized around honoring your authentic self. It's to claim those parts of ourselves that we disowned and now learn to cherish them. Page tells Mind Body Green. Once we do that, we unlock a new level of intimacy, authenticity, and vulnerability in every aspect of our lives because we're now operating from the inside out.
Okay.
Thank you for letting me read that.
I would like to use this program for us to speak of our greatness. Because we are. And we're ashamed to say it. So, if we quote what somebody else says about us, we escape that stigma.
Should I read some of the comments?
Yes.
Oh, I lost it. Okay, wait. I need to get it back again. Where is Hetty? Oh, sorry, I just lost Hetty. Here we are. Okay. So, Julie says, hi, loves. And Denise says, hello, Hetty. And Tammy says, you are alive and still able to pass on your wisdom. And Lee Winter says, hi, Hetty and Ken, so good to be with you. And Yola Pitaka says, sending you lots of love.
Let me speak a little more about what this program will become. I realized how hard it is to be old and to look old, and realized that I want to fill my life with the other things which exist. And that really is who the people I love are. I will get to know more people constantly. But what was written about my son Kenny touched me so, and I needed to keep reading about it.
And I can continue to read at other points, definitely. I definitely can.
You have no choice. I'm your mother.
Yes. And you were also going to talk about, well, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Continue.
Oh, yes, you were going to talk about Dory. And you were going to talk about...
Don't change the subject.
Okay.
I'm being his mother. Read what they wrote about you.
They didn't really write about me. They wrote about my ideas. They were kind of explaining my ideas, my concepts.
Read about your idea.
I just read some. Okay, I'll read a drop more. But you were going to talk about Dory, and you were going to talk about higher power.
I will do that.
Okay, I'll read the last paragraph. None of us are strangers to embarrassment, shame, and deep inner wounds, but our own wounds are often merely armor for the beating heart of our humanity within. While you're going to need to do some self-exploration to discover your own core gifts, it's well worth the effort. Your life journey becomes an adventure when you act on your core gifts, Page says in closing. Doing so changes your relationships from the inside out, ushering in a wave of self-expression that ripples into the ways you love and the very ways you live.
Okay, and since I'm doing what I hope you will begin to do, to look at the people you love and find their core gifts. Because we are taught never to boast. But why should we not boast? If I don't boast about myself, how can I boast about you? And will I never know the greatness of you if I don't recognize it publicly? So let me go back to what we're going to be doing.
Should I just read some comments?
Yes, I'd love it.
Okay. Julie says, Kenny, so happy that gift theory is getting positive attention. Such a brilliant and insightful framework. And that's Julie, who has been one of my most amazing, helpful editors from the beginning. And Martha says, hi, Kenny, and hi, Hetty and Ken. Not home, but I wanted to pop in and say hi. Amy says, this is getting very comical between the two of you. And Ed says, you are such a proud mom, Hetty, and Ken is such a proud son. You both are beautiful. Tammy warns me, Kenny, comply before you get grounded. And Julie says, Hetty, your motherly pride in Ken and Joni is totally warranted. You brought two brilliant, compassionate, deeply good people into this broken world. Thank you. Thanks, folks.
Let me tell you more. Let me tell you, people compliment me on my artwork. But I always shrug it off. On the other hand, I'm going to accept it. If I'm going to free you from not speaking about yourself, I have to be honest. Ever since I was a child, I wondered why people must hate each other. And I figured it's only because they don't know each other. And I began to paint people and draw people to explain us to the people who hate us so that they would stop hating us. And when Kenny read this to me today, I thought he would never have used those words. He had to allow other people to say it. And I thought, why can't we do that? Why can't we begin in this program, which is ours? We're not paying for it. It's free, not like a newspaper. Let us use it to talk about people we admire. Let me begin right now. I was going to speak about somebody who called today and said, I would be embarrassed if you say the things you're going to say. Please don't say them. And he's right. And so I am going to be careful. And at the moment, I will speak of somebody who knows me so very well. And I love her and know her so well. And I would like to begin this program to tell people how wonderful the people we are finding as wonderful can be shared with the world. And Dory, if you get embarrassed, it's okay. You know me well enough. My son was looking for Kenny was looking for an office manager. And he found Dory. And there was a day when he called me and he said, "Mom, you're suffering so much with your paperwork. I can lend you Dory. I can't give her to you because I need her. But I can give her." And she works on so many jobs because so many people love the work she does. This program is going to be on YouTube because one of Dory's many talents, she puts my program on YouTube and they're heard all over the world. Okay? Dory and I have a ritual. On Sundays, she works with me. And we do the required, necessary work. And then we go to the diner. We go to the local diner called Diner by the Sea. And they make the best poached eggs on toasted rye bread. And we have coffee, and she has water. I have coffee. And Diner by the Sea is wonderful because when we come in, they see us on Sunday morning and immediately get to work. The poached eggs on buttered rye toast are in front of me within minutes. So is my decaf coffee. And Dory has the same, only she has it in a cup. And I know there are other diners. We've been there. When our diner is closed for any reason, we go to others. Nobody poaches the eggs the way these people do. This program is going to deal with our greatness. Let the rest of the world insult each other. We don't have time for that. So let me speak of our wonderful Sunday mornings. And I can't hear because my hearing is very poor, and there's always noise there. So I watch her mouth, and I've learned to do some good mouth reading. Okay? Now everybody else, from now on, you have a job. Every time you listen to me and to Kenny, bring up somebody who is wonderful, whom you admire. Talk about their core gifts. Kenny, you have to explain a little bit more about core gifts, what they wrote about you. Okay? I'll be quiet.
You're killing me. So your core gifts are the deepest part of us. They're the places where we can be hurt by life the most, moved by life the most, touched by life the most. They're the places we love from. They're where the greatest amount of nerve endings of our heart exist, and they define who we are, but we often have a lot of shame and embarrassment around them because we feel so deeply from those places, but they are sacred parts of us. And the journey to self-love is a journey of naming and claiming and learning to dignify and honor those parts and lead with them.
I was originally going to begin this program by talking about my friend Sammy, but Sammy called and said it would embarrass him. So let me just do something.
Well, you were going to talk too about meditation and your evolving concept of God and a higher power.
Okay.
And your relationship with that.
Then let me
Only
just...
if you want to. Whatever you want.
Sammy is so kind. Sammy drives people who need to be driven and does wonderful things. And one day I'll draw him. He hasn't allowed me yet. But let me talk about meditation. I have learned through Kenny how to meditate, which means I put God in front of me and speak to it, because in my mind there isn't a he or a she. There was a time when there was emptiness of cavemen and people searching for a God. And they sacrificed animals and killed them to offer to that God. And then something changed. People decided to worship instead. And they created names for God. And I speak to them and ask them, not who are you, but let me feel what you want from me. And what God said to me was, we try so hard to do good, but nobody seems to listen. And then I say to God, what can I do? And God said, don't condemn people. Find the beauty in them. Paint it, draw it, and show the world that we're worth it. So when Kenny read this article to me that was written about him, I thought, that's the beginning. And when I thought of Dory and me on Sunday morning and those poached eggs with buttered dry toast, I say, God, I'm listening. Does anybody have any comments about that? Let this program be one where we're not ashamed to say we're wonderful.
Let me see. That was beautiful. Lee Winters says, you may be old, but you have a vibrant mind that is still able to share your wisdom as you do right now. We thank you for it. And Michelle is here. Hi, Grandma Hetty and Kenny. Hi, Michelle. And Sandy says, beautiful, and Teddy.
Kenny says we have 3 minutes left. Then in those 3 minutes, let me speak of trees. Let me speak of, my mother used to say this, when I would see the first green shoots coming from the ground, she said, don't look at the shoots and admire them. Admire the little seed buried in the ground, frozen ground, and struggling to move forward, centimeter by centimeter, until suddenly it shoots up, and it is a seed. And don't look at it and say how beautiful it is. Notice the enormous strength that worked in the frozen soil in order to be admired. Not because it's needing to be admired, but because it needs to become a tree. Let that be us. Let our core gifts, which Kenny explains, be our reason to creep in the frozen ground of our civilizations and break to the ground as a green sprout. I love you all because I allow myself to love. Any more comments?
No, none yet. I don't think. I keep losing it. Oh, ha! Amy says, "Can I break into your lunch date and join you and Dory one Sunday?" That's Amy Lauren says that.
Thank you, Amy.
Is that a yes? And Sandy says hello from her and Ishmael and Sophian.
Good night, all of you. I love you. And start thinking hard of wonderful things about you and the people you know. Only wonderful things will be accepted because we are that. I love you all. Good night.